Hello, guys. I hope all of you are well. Welcome to the Reality Room Review with myself, Mo. Now, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, yesterday, the 19th of August, was the day that we have all been waiting for. We were waiting to hear the bombas from our favorite witness. We were waiting to hear all the bombs and all the allegations and stuff like that. And the reason why that, I guess even the thumbnail is even titled that Adams was disarmed. That man was thoroughly disarmed from the very beginning. He never, ever had a chance. Now, I have to say this. I don't know if that was the initial plan, but in any case, having advocate Segeels-Ncube lead the evidence of this witness was too good and too strategic of the commission, because had it been Cheskelson, I believe that we would have seen a different witness than what we saw. When I tell you that lady disarmed him from the very beginning, I guess probably from the time that they started talking, and they started discussing evidence and everything else, that man was disarmed because firstly, that is a colored woman. And since it's one of his own, he trusts more than anything else. I mean, you could see even during his testimony yesterday, there were points in time where he forgot himself. He got a little too comfortable, saying stuff like, in the colored community, this and that, this is how we do things. Or the moment when he wanted a personal break. When he wanted a personal break to go take his medication. Luckily, by that time, it was around lunchtime. So therefore, they had to adjourn for lunch. But even for him to actually call her to the side and actually say, like, can I talk to you? Like, he would have never done that. He would have never done that with anybody else. From the very beginning, he was cooked. And what he didn't realize as well was the fact that Advocate Segeels-Ncube is there to do her job. She was there to question, and she was there to do her job, and she was serious about her job. Because even a facial expression when he asked for that, and everybody's like, and it's like, which world are you living in, sir? Which one? So I have to give it to the commission for actually doing that, because that was the best way to actually disarm him. That was the best way, because since we do know that he was going to play this whole race card and this and that, like I can even hear the toughness, especially today in the evidence leader today, how things were going down. Like, had it been another person, had it been even Cheskelson for that matter, it wouldn't have gone down the way that it did. It really wouldn't have. So kudos to the commissioners. Kudos to y'all. That was a good, and that was a strategic move, and I loved it. Now, firstly, before going into today's testimony, because for the most part, Fadiel Adams received around, I think he said 3 questions. The commissioners gave me 3 questions that he had to answer last year. And it kind of makes sense. It really does. Like, hearing his testimony, the more and more you hear what he has to say, the more you realize that there isn't much. Just answer the damn questions that were given to you and get it over and done with. Right. Because everything else, I guess they are kind of like filibusters, or, he's just, they're distractions to me. Every other thing that he says that doesn't deal directly with what the commissioners have asked him is just a distraction, and it's a way of inflating himself. It's a way of making himself look like an even bigger hero, because we've heard a couple of those stories yesterday in his testimony, how he wanted to play the big hero in everything, how everybody is up to get him and stuff like that. These people want to kill me. Even him explaining how he was arrested and how he ended up being taken to to Durban and stuff like that. And when you think about it, even the exaggerations, because he does admit in his testimony as well that there are bits and parts, like for instance, the kilometers that it took from where he is in Cape Town to taking him all the way to Durban. He's like, okay, maybe I might have just exaggerated a bit about that, so you just realize that he is trying to play, he's still playing this hero, and he's not I don't want to say he's not taking the commission serious enough. I feel like in his mind, he feels like he's doing something very important and very serious. And in the meantime, he doesn't realize the mud that he is in, But yeah, so with the allegations, or rather what General Mkhwanazi actually accused him of doing, the first and most important thing, I guess, it has to do with the classified files, or rather classified document that he claims he got under his door at Parliament, right? So this is classified information that he actually received, and he did nothing about it, I think, for a while, even in his own admission that he held on to those documents a bit longer. How he treated the information that he actually received, right? Because one of the things, or one of the criticisms that General Mkhwanazi was actually talking about was that, he's a member of Parliament, he's a lawmaker, right? And as an MP, you should be, especially an MP who is part of the Police Portfolio Committee, you should be familiar with how these kind of things have to be taken care of. You have to be very careful about that. You have to know how to handle some of this information. So if you're getting classified information, intelligence information, you must give it to the appropriate body or appropriate structure, right? And so he was talking about the Joint Standing Committee in Parliament on Intelligence. So there's a Joint Standing Committee in Parliament on intelligence, and they're the ones who actually deal with information that has to do with, I guess, civil, police, military intelligence, SASA, even like financial management stuff. So they investigate that part, whereas, as Fadiel was actually saying yesterday, that them at the National Assembly, they're more of like administrators, so they don't really have like investigative kind of powers and stuff like that. But the Joint Standing Committee actually does do that. So he was meant to take that information there, right? Now, while I was looking into the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence, I saw something that is interesting, because it is a composition of members of Parliament from the National Assembly, as well as members of the National Provincial Council, who make up the Joint Standing Committee. So those two houses are actually the two that are joined to form this type of committee. And from the National Assembly, the two that we are probably the most familiar with is Honorable Kala Barnard from the DA. So she also forms part of the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence, right? Her and Leanne Matthys of the EFF. So the both of them also serve in that committee as well. So they do have those powers, and they are the ones who can be able to actually take information like that for investigation to that committee. Now, I say interesting because Kala Barnard is also another parliamentarian who has received classified information and who has also shared the information publicly, according to General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. All right. I find it interesting that she also, even though she serves in such a committee, she also didn't deal with the information appropriately. And another thing as well is that when Fadiel Adams says that he got this information and stuff, he shared the information with, or rather he spoke briefly about it. He didn't share word for word or anything like that. He talked about what he got and told Ian Cameron about it. Ian Cameron, and the reason why he answered why he went to Ian Cameron or told Ian Cameron briefly about it was because he is the chairperson to the police portfolio committee, which is all well and good, right? But then again, I'm surprised that he never advised him of going to the Joint Standing Committee, which is also something that forms part of Parliament. Like, he never informed him that, hey, maybe this is the appropriate body to actually share that information with, right? Funny part about it is that today he also mentioned just a little bit about Kola Barnard as well, that he might have had a conversation with her, where you can actually start seeing that his information starts changing just a little bit, right? I guess maybe after having a day to actually think about it or having to sleep over it overnight, where he actually has to remember. And another thing is that Ian Cameron, ever since Advocate Ramsami's allegations and what she labeled against him, he's also gone onto the news to actually try to clear his name and stuff like that. But it is clear that some of these things you were way off, and I don't know how he's going to fight that off. But in any case, that's the information that we got from Fadiel Adams that he did share. And you also encouraged him having to go to the police about it. Right. Now, when coming to the information and how he dealt with it, he decided that he was going to open a case in Cape Town. He opens a case in Cape Town. Then he got a call later on that same evening from, I believe it was General Lincoln, that somehow their information has been intercepted, the case had been intercepted and so forth. So therefore, go and open up the case somewhere else, right? So the somewhere else is where? Johannesburg. Now, there was also a big conversation around why Johannesburg, and more than anything, why go specifically to Orlando police station, right? Why specifically Orlando? Because even Commissioner Nhlanhla spoke and actually said, but OR Tambo, there's a police station not far from there. You could have laid the charges there as opposed to having to travel all the way to Soweto to go open up your case, and of course he made up some sort of excuse as well that he does have family. I think he said he's got family in Johannesburg, so therefore that also gave him more of a reason to actually kind of go there. But yeah, the funny part about it is the fact that he said that General Lincoln is the one who actually told him that when he gets to Joburg, there will be somebody who will be able to help him in terms of opening those cases, right? And right now, there's a clip that I actually saw of General Mkhwanazi talking last year about it and actually stating that Fadiel Adams probably spoke to Brown Mokgotzi's handler, and which was something that was touched on just a little bit, in terms of who is this person that you were meeting in Johannesburg who is going to help you out with these cases, in as much as he said that, it was a police officer and at Orlando that the former General Lincoln knew about. But there's somebody who is around the circles of Brown Mkhwanazi as well as Kat Matlala. Now going back to the allegations that were made, or the allegations that Adams actually made. Now he claimed that he had received a document from his parliamentary office, right? And he said that the documents that he received, the crime intelligence documents, that he received around 4 documents, and that only one of it was marked classified, right? I guess that kind of gives him credence to go lay the charges that he laid, right? And with the charges that he laid, he claimed, or rather he opened charges against Dumisani Khumalo, and he alleged that there was a manipulation of promotions and security vetting, and especially when coming to the employment of Dineo Mukwele. He also made allegations concerning polygraphic examination that was failed by Major General Nosipo Matondo, right? And
these charges
he
were
has also
against
accused
General
Brigadier
Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and apparently he had
security
alleged
and
that he had
vetting
manipulated
as well in terms of, I guess, trying to clean
the
that
system,
up with
the vetting and promotion system to
with
hire
the polygraph
Brigadier
test
Mkhwanazi.
that was failed.
Another
He said
thing
that
that he alleged
nothing
was
had
the
happened, no
misuse of
investigations
the
or
Secret Service
anything
account,
further happened after
and
Madondo
as
failed
well
her
as he talked about
polygraph
the
examination.
allegations connecting
He also
against the
has
political
accused, I
killings
guess,
task team
the misuse
and
of
their
Secret
misconduct.
account, which is
He also made allegations that Major General Nazipo Madondo
the funds
had
that,
failed a
that
polygraph
given, so
test,
the
and
properties
that
were actually acquired,
Ncube,
laundry and stuff like that, all the expenses that was needed for the safe houses that the PKTT were actually taking the witnesses to. He also found that to be a grave misuse of the funds themselves. And another point that he did make was about the conduct of the PKTT in terms of how they handled witnesses, and I guess also misuse of their power as well. Now, his cases included 3 people, which was General Khumalo, Major General Madondo, Major General Lushaba. So those are the 3 cases that he opened at in Cape Town, and he also subsequently went to open up those cases in Orlando, right? And then he says that he claimed that in Langlaagte, he opened the Mokwele case. Now, there was a bit of a confusion whether or not it was the Mokwele case that he opened up, because he says that he still does not remember because it was 18 months ago. But in any case, he opened up a case in Langlaagte in November, right, of 2024. Now, the interesting part is that after not getting the urgency that he wanted, remember, he opened up these cases in a matter of days, and then he went to the Minister of Police afterwards, and then he still wasn't satisfied, even though in the commission it was proven that, listen, after you went to the minister, steps were taken, actions were taken. They were police officials who communicated with you about the case that you had talked to the minister about, that you had communicated to the minister about. But however, you decided not to communicate to them. You decided not to actually give that system its time for that process to actually happen. You never did that. You never communicated back, and then therefore you started, and then that's when you decided to go to IDAC. Right. Now, IDAC eventually decided to charge Dumisani Khumalo and his co-accused of the irregular appointment of Dineo Mukwele. Right. And those were like basically the biggest layer of IDAC's case. That's what it hinged on, right? The appointment of Dineo Mukwele. Now, looking at all of this, because I'm just gonna land this plane right now. This is the first video that I'm doing, so of his testimony. I will do others, including the first 2 days of his testimony, as well as I think also what IDAC, because the IDAC recordings that are going to be played at the commission today, later on. So therefore, I will do a video on that. But with with Fadiel Adams, it's a mess, and I'm glad that they were able to put a mirror in his face, as to all of his actions, him having to go back and forth to all of these police stations from one region to another region, and how unnecessary it was. It seemed all well planned and all well orchestrated. I just don't know how you convince a grown man to do something like that, and for him to not see the irrationality in his own actions. He ran a little too fast. He went a little too fast, in terms of having to go from Cape Town, then go to Johannesburg, and then email the minister, and then go to Langlaagte, and then go to Iraq as well. All of these things happened within a matter of days. He never allowed the process to actually start. He never allowed the process to actually work in the first place. And yeah, he was a deer in headlights when everything came out and when he was being confronted. Another thing is that I hate the most about Fadiel Adams is the fact that how he reasons in his mind. It's like when even the commissioner was questioning him about going back to the note 3 that he had received from the commission, and going back to that, stating this is what you stated previously, but then again at the same time, this is the interview that you gave. Even with all of that evidence in front of him, he still was in denial about it, and to a point where he started framing it as, oh, if that's how the commissioner sees it, then I will take it like that. So there's never an admission of wrong, a full admission of being wrong. It's always, oh, from that perspective, then yes, I can accept that is wrong. As opposed to, oh yeah, wholeheartedly I can see that is wrong. And it's the biggest of all gaslightings. Another moment that I actually took away from yesterday also was when Advocate Ncube decided and told him about him abusing his power. And the look in Fadiel Adams's face when he heard that he had abused his position and his own proximity to the minister to do what he did, to open up all of these cases and to look for the urgency that he was seeking. And for him, he couldn't comprehend the idea of abuse of position, because he constantly needs to be the victim. He's the one being victimized. The PKTT is abusing him. Parliament is against him. He is consistently the victim, and he's constantly being the one who's being abused. But he cannot even see that he is also guilty of doing the things that he's accusing others of doing. And it is sad. It is sad to actually watch, right? But like I said, I'll come back with other parts as well as to in his testimony. And for right now, what did you guys actually find interesting? I'm very much interested in knowing and in finding out what you guys actually do think about Fadiel Adams's testimony thus far. And I'm interested in knowing what you guys think about the points that I actually raised about, even the Joint Standing Committee and all of these cases. These are not criminal cases that you run around with a matter of, yes, urgency, or that it could have been the hill that he actually dies on. It is not that. But yeah, I'm very much interested in you guys' opinion. Let me know, comment, and also comment on what I could improve on and what you guys would like to actually see. But with all that said, goodbye and good luck with listening to the rest of Fadiel Adams's testimony, guys. Bye.